All right, so this is for all of you confused by all the back and forth on what we eat and how it affects our health. I am one of those. So our guest today is going to offer us some clarity. I'd like to welcome cardiologist, professional chef, and author, Dr. Mike Fenster. Doctor, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Michelle. So glad to be here.
I'm happy to have you because we're talking about your latest book here. I love the title, The Fallacy of the Calorie. We'll get into what that means exactly, but here's what's so cool about this book. You outline this 30-day program,
Yes.
and this is going to help restore our inner harmony. How so? What does that mean?
Well, the modern Western diet is so addictive in nature, and people don't even realize that they get addicted to just seeking out layers of sugar, salt, and fat that's wound up in our food. So this program helps people kind of break those chains, and then once you're free, you can start to enjoy wholesome quality foods and recapture the sense of taste and texture. It opens up a whole new world.
And it's interesting how you explain it. You say we're essentially hardwired to seek those things out, the sugar, the salt, the fat. Why? I mean, how is that happening to
Well,
us?
let's just think about it. We're sitting on this amazing set with all this technology. So
Yeah.
we've really advanced from a technological point of view. As a society, we've evolved. But our biology, our physiology, isn't much removed from us wandering around the plains of the savannah. And back then, sugar, salt, and fat were rare commodities.
Yeah.
And they helped us survive. And anything that helps us survive is reinforced in our brains. It becomes hardwired.
We
It's
want it,
part of-
hang on to it.
Yeah, it's part of the survival instinct.
Yeah.
And so that can end up becoming something that forms addictions with the way the modern food is processed and prepared. And so we've got to break those. It doesn't mean we can't enjoy them, but we've got to use them surgically, like a surgeon uses a scalpel. Like I use a scalpel in the OR. You don't want me coming there whacking, things
Sure hope
off.
not.
Right. So, but a small cut can heal. A big cut's a disaster.
It's interesting because for the video a little while ago, you saw we were using a clip from Eat, Pray, Love, and it's Julia Roberts, and she's with this big plate of pasta, and we've all had that moment when you feel like, I am just gonna go crazy on this food. So I can understand that's a challenge for people to overcome that.
Well, it is, and anything like that can become an addiction where we're not really tasting our food. We're not, enjoying that wonderful glass of wine. We become addicted, and we're just like, oh my God, I gotta have a drink. And we want it, and that can happen with our food. So we want to break away from that, and enjoy the wonderful world that's out there that's really exploding all over with food and the organic, fresh, wholesome foods. Wonderful world of new tastes and textures, fusion cuisines. The chef part of me is coming out, and that's a wonderful, exciting thing that we can enjoy instead of just going through the drive-thru and getting more of that processed, addictive stuff.
So the doctor part of you, I'd love to know then, what are some of the most harmful foods, in your opinion, that we're consuming?
I really think the processed, refined, artificially preserved foods are so dangerous for us. Absolutely.
So then if we're looking at things, let's say I'm going to go shopping today and I want some things that will enhance my life, some foods. Are there any things you think should be on our must-haves for our grocery list?
Well, certainly we hear this all the time about, having more fruits and vegetables. And that is something that's really lacking in the modern Western diet. But you can enjoy them in, wonderful preparation. So it's not just about the foods, but it's, incorporating all these new kind of techniques. So you want to saute, you want to use a little butter, that's fine. You know what? Get an organic butter because it has much more healthful components in it. What we really want to avoid is, for example, there was a study that was published in Nature a couple months ago, and it looked at 0-calorie artificial sweeteners. And we think,
all the rage.
hey, we think we're gonna be healthier because we're cutting the calories, which is the fallacy. And what they found is that by taking and eating these 0-calorie artificial sweeteners, we didn't absorb them because they weren't meant for our body. But they affected the minions, the trillions of bacteria that live inside us that are so integral for our health. And I talk about that a lot in the book too, something called the gut microbiome. And it ended up making people develop glucose intolerance, which is essentially diabetes, and made them more likely to develop obesity by consuming 0-calorie.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I would say is if they're cutting something out, what are they putting in to make up for it? Should always think in those terms.
And by just cutting the calories, you gotta stop thinking about the quantity and the calories and start thinking about the quality of our food.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr.
My
Mike.
pleasure.
Don't forget, you guys, his book, The Fallacy of the Calorie, is available in bookstores and online, or you can visit his website, cardiochef.com. Thanks again.